Don't fight your medical records. Anytime you go to the doctor, we know the doctor is not going to write down every single thing you say. They're going to write down what they believe is relevant or whatever they believe they interpreted you say. And so, what happens in a personal injury case is that what happens in a personal injury case is that a defense lawyer will then look through your records and they'll cherry pick out the times where you said you weren't in pain, or you had 0 out of pain, or you had 1 or 3 out of pain, or the doctor says you're making a great recovery, or that you're able to go back to work and return as necessary. Remember, that's a moment in time. That's not saying that before you got to the doctor's office or after you got to the doctor's office, things weren't different, especially when you have physical activity. A lot of times in your initial treatment, you're not going back to work, or you're limiting what you're doing to avoid pain, or you're on pain medications. All those things are contributing or assisting you in being able to say, hey, my pain level's lower. Then when the prescription medication runs out, or you return back to activities, you return back to work, it's going to be that your pain's going to skyrocket at the next visit because your body has not been having to do many activities, and now you're putting it under new stresses, and now the pain level is going to increase. The insurance company wants the jury to think, well, maybe some other incident happened. Maybe you injured yourself doing something else. But the reality is, when you put it into context, it makes sense that you're either on prescriptions, or, for example, let's say that you're not working at the time, or that you didn't do anything that day. The appointment could have been early in the morning. And you're saying, hey, my pain level wasn't that high. If you remember it was only for that moment in time, then you can be able to say, when you're asked the question, see, you told your doctor that you weren't having a problem. You can say, that must have been a good day. That way, when the jury's looking at those same records, you're not fighting something that's in black and white, because it's hard to fight something that is right there that they can see. Now, there are times where the actual doctor completely writes the wrong thing down. We had a case once where my client had been injured in slipping in a pool of water that was in front of a cooler at a grocery store, and he broke his ankle. He went to the emergency room. The doctor there thought he was very great in Spanish, and so he didn't have anyone interpret for him. And the medical record said that our client, slipped and fell, or was going down a slide at Schlitterbahn, and that he hit his ankle at the bottom of the pool in a shallow end and broke his ankle. And so in that case, the defense lawyers for the grocery store wanted to claim, you actually weren't injured here. You actually were injured at Schlitterbahn going down a slide. See, it says that right here in the records. There's no way to fight that, but there is a way to explain it. And the explanation is, you can see what the client was trying to explain to him in Spanish, that there was a pool of water in front of the cooler and that he slid and it broke his ankle. So he explained, I can see that the doctor misinterpreted, but you can see what I was explaining to him makes sense. And that was enough for the grocery store to then stop trying to make this defense and then actually start offering real money to get the case resolved. So you can look at something in the records, you can explain it away, but you can't just flat out say it's wrong. And so one example that often happens is you go to the doctor and you're complaining about your back and your shoulder. The defense lawyer is asking you, what injuries did you claim, or what did you complain about at the doctor's office? Well, the first problem is nobody has the memory of being able to look back and know exactly what you said. So that's a big problem. You'd really just want to refer back to the medical records and say, it would really be a guess for me, but whatever the records say is what I told the doctors, because that way you're not actually going to say something that doesn't appear to the records. If they can hold up what you said to what's in the records in black and white, they can say you're lying all the time. Literally, there's not anybody in this world that can do that. Can say, what did you tell the doctor a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Even if you expected that, hey, I remember I had back problems and shoulder problems and I told them, it may not be in the records. And so don't fight the fact that there's going to be things that are incorrect in the records. Just accept the fact that if you had a shoulder problem, there should be that in the records somewhere. And more than likely, your injury to your shoulder may have been masked by the pain that you're having in your back. And once the back pain was going down, or you started doing more movement with your shoulder, that pain increased. Almost anything can be explained away. But if you fight what's in black and white, it's very difficult for you to win that argument.